This video is sponsored by World of Warships. The wonderful isolated islands of RimWorld. Like beautiful green lush eyes on a big blue face. Almost completely uncorrupted by the touch of man. Not only are these islands home to many biomes of diverse vegetation, but they are also home to hundreds of thousands of different types of animals such as land creatures as well as marine life. These islands are so beautiful and peaceful, it would be the perfect place to build our very own paradise. A paradise that is free of violence and fighting and all the terrible things on the mainland. And there is no one better suited to take on the leading role than Sanchez. Now, of course, Sanchez cannot build the perfect paradise on an empty tummy. Lucky enough for Sanchez, this island just so happens to be home to many trees that have beautiful golden bananas. Nanners. But while Sanchez is harvesting trees to build her shelter and survive on this beautiful island, I'd like to talk to you about today's sponsor, World of Warships. Download World of Warships using the first link in the description. During registration, use the promo code Azur555 to receive a huge starter pack including 500 doubloons, 2,500,000 credits, 5 days premium account time, 1 premium container, and both commanders Cheshire and Azuma. World of Warships is completely free to play and it is also available on PC. Not only that, but they also release new content every month. Look, whether it's new ships, in-game nations, cosmetics, or even ship classes, you can always count on enjoying fresh gameplay experiences in World of Warships' stunning 12v12 arenas. This month only, you can go to battle as characters from Azur Lane and show off your favorite characters with new Azur Lane themed skins. World of Warships has more than 40 unique maps with dynamic weather, all of which have been updated with stunning new water effects and textures, which actually make the game's seas virtually indistinguishable from the real deal. You can conquer the oceans aboard history's most iconic behemoth battleships, aircraft carriers, which are the masters of the sky that have a diverse range of tools to launch long-range attacks on enemy ships. Or maybe you prefer some of these beautiful, powerful destroyers and cruisers, or maybe a stealthier approach with some submarines. Regardless of how you play though, World of Warships also has a passionate and dedicated fan base. Join the action in-game, participate in discussions on the forums and Discord channel, tune into live streams, or participate in tournaments. Find your community in World of Warships. Did I also mention that this game is not only available on PC, but also on consoles as well? Once again, you can download World of Warships at the first link in the video description. And also, of course, do not forget to use promo code Azur555 for all your free goodies. Now with all the wood that Sanchez has collected though, she'll be able to make herself a beautiful little wooden canopy to keep the rain off her head at night. It wasn't perfect, but it would do for now, and although the tropical islands normally don't get too cold, at night it is a little bit chilly, and we would also need a nice place to cook our meals, so we built a nice fire. Now nice and snugly in her warm canopy, it's been a very long day and it's time for Sanchez to rest her weary head for a while. And she would need all the rest she could get because there's a lot more work to be done on this island, especially if we plan to turn it into a pacifist paradise. Which of course we are, because that's the title of the video. And because we're using the Dub's Bad Hygiene mod, the very next day we decided to build ourselves a very small wooden well to fish water out of the ground to clean ourselves. Just as well, of course, because there's no running water on this island just yet, we would need a place to use the restroom, so we dug ourselves a latrine. And once that was finally completed, Sanchez went around cutting down several more trees, as our main building material right now, of course, is wood. So we would be in desperate need of plenty of it. Just as well, we would also begin planting cotton so that we can grow some cloth, because many of the mods I have added have items that require cloth to be built, such as a flag, which we're going to need if we're going to create our own nation, our own island. Also, something that is very much worth noting, we began digging a little safety tunnel into one of the mountains, because obviously we can't fight, so we're going to have to hide when we get raided. Obviously, to me, this is the most pacifist thing that we could do if we're getting raided, but also in some testing of this playthrough, I noticed that they will just knock down as many doors as we build, come in, and still kill us, so I have taken the liberty of building a few spike traps as well, just for our protection. This is not us directly fighting with someone, even though it's not exactly pacifism. But look, we're only building the traps. If a raider happens to step on one and get killed or injured, that's on them, not us. Now, another way that we're going to attempt to ensure our safety, as well as just make a beautiful base, we began building some bridges out into the ocean water. However, while doing so, we ended up getting our very first raid. It was a polluted waster pirate who had treaded through the ocean water somehow, way, shape, or form to come here and try to murder us, but unfortunately for them, we were going to hide in our little tunnel. Thankfully for us though, while hiding inside our little safety tunnel, the raider ended up getting hit by one of these definitely not deadly spike traps. A few hours later, Sanchez felt that it was probably safe to come out of her hole. After doing so, she discovered the raider named Bramble lying there where there once was a spike trap. Definitely not injured, that's for sure. But Sanchez was at a bit of a crossroads, because what do you do with a raider like this? They're definitely not a pacifist, and we can't really convert them to pacifism. Eureka, she said as she walked through the forest carrying Bramble's injured body. We'll take her to the Coconut Crab Island where all the coconut crabs live, and they'll take good care of her. I mean, obviously, it would be horrible if we just left her on some island where she probably wouldn't survive on her own, especially while injured from a spike trap that someone might have built, definitely not us. Luckily though, now she is in the caring hands, claws, of the coconut crabs, who will no doubt take really good care of her. In the meantime though, carrying Bramble all the way to Coconut Crab Island here was very exhausting, and we needed a little bite of berries. Another one of the beautiful upsides of living on an island like this, other than the beautiful sands where we have our canopies, is that food is growing here year-round with wild berries and bananas and things of that sort. Just as well, of course, this means there's a plentiful amount of trees and whatnot year-round, so we can always use wood to build these wooden structures out onto the deep ocean water where we shall found our paradise. But I ask you, what would paradise be if we didn't have some pets? And luckily for us, the universe has provided us with a self-tamed sunfin angelfish. He's absolutely gorgeous, so gorgeous indeed he needed a gorgeous name, so I named him Bread. But our new little pal Bread needs his own place to stay, so we would build him a small pen right off our dock that we've been building for our canopy and campfire and whatnot. Speaking of which, after some time we had finally got all our camping gear and whatnot over to the dock, and then we decided to go out for a nice meal. And by that I mean we found a dead hammerhead shark lying on the coast, and we decided to chop it up for some food. Now you may be saying to yourself, that's disgusting, but I'll have you know that shark fin steaks, or whatever they're called, are a delicacy in some regions. I mean, okay, yeah, sure, these are probably rotted, but I don't know, they made for some pretty killer sandwiches. Besides, all we've been eating for the past few days are berries and bananas. We need some meat. Even pacifists need protein from time to time. Sure, they don't hunt the animals themselves, but they go to the grocery store, and in this case, there's no store, so we get rotted shark corpses. However, this did open my eyes to the fact that up until this point, relying on wild fruits and berries and whatnot is all we've been doing. We do need to plant some crops for ourselves, so we decided to till up some land and we would begin planting some peppers. But then tragedy struck. As we were planting our peppers, a wild tuna came in and ate Bread. And I'm not talking about a loaf of bread, I'm talking about our little fish that we've only had for about a day. Our poor little friend. He was our best pal, even though we've only known him for maybe a few hours or something. Well, that's how things go, though. Dog eat dog, tuna eat smaller fish named Bread. That's just part of life, I suppose. We'll get back to planting our crops. While doing so, however, we had a transport pod crash nearby. It would appear that it landed in the southern part of the ocean just off the island. And the inhabitant of the transport pod appeared to be alive, a lady named Kanzaki, which is actually the same name as one of the characters in our Continental Army series, which you should watch. But anyways, we saved this person, brought them back home, built them their own canopy, and began tending to their wounds and feeding them in hopes that they would join us. They weren't a pacifist, but they were friendly. Besides, it was a very pacifist thing for us to do, tending to someone who's injured and whatnot. And with Kanzaki's wounds tended to, it's time for us to now build a very small storage building just on the coast, just below where we're actually building our base. Having a storage facility is going to be crucial in ensuring that our building materials are not deteriorating out in the rain and whatnot. And speaking of said building materials, we finally were able to begin harvesting our cotton plants, which then gave us cloth, which was perfect because we can finally make our very own flag, declaring this place a true pacifist paradise nation. For our flag, I decided to dedicate it to our fish named Bread, who is a true pacifist, a true lover of man, and well, we only knew him for a few hours. I assumed that he was a lover of man and he was not a she. I don't know, but I thought it was a nice banner. But now, beautiful banners are only going to take us so far. We need more resources to ensure a nice, comfortable living here in our pacifist paradise nation. God, I'm getting tired of saying that. So we began mining out plenty of steel as well as components so that we could actually work on generators and other things and basically produce electricity. Because just as in real life, in the modern world, electricity really brings on so many comforts that we're all just so used to, and I'd like to bring those here to Sanchez and her island nation. Unfortunately though, as we were focusing on steel and components, Kinzaki had healed and decided that she didn't want to join us and that she was going to run away, and really we couldn't stop her, mostly because we're pacifists, but still. We then built a research table so we can begin researching better technologies of defending ourselves, such as stun turrets and things like that are more pacifist and less defensive and aggressive. However, of course, to power said stun turrets and these other technologies, we're going to need some electricity, which we are going to generate through burning wood, at least for now. No paradise ever starts off as a paradise. Nothing is perfect. We have to burn some fossil fuels and whatnot. Yeah, the environment will be fine, you know, probably. And besides, look, we have these really beautiful lights at the end of our dock. Speaking of our dock, Sanchez would use a lot of wood in the following days to try and increase the size of it to just basically make it bigger and better all around. And I gotta be honest, this feels like it took absolutely forever because her construction skill is so low. But whatever, she'll get around to it and she'll get better at it as we go. It was about this time as well I forced Sanchez to build us some food barrels to store all of our food in, because we have it all lying out on the ground and the raw fish get sand in it, and then we have sandy fish sandwiches, you understand. Not only were these food barrels absolutely perfect for storing our raw fish and whatnot, but they were also absolutely perfect for storing all of our beautiful yellow bananas. But with all these new wonderful constructions on our dock, I realized that we need a dedicated place for food production as well as a place to just sit, chill out, and have a few fish sandwiches. So of course we began working on a spot for all that. I'm going to try to make this a centralized point for all of our people that are going to live here on our pacifist island. That way they can all join together and eat in the mornings and get some good socialization and whatnot in. Because there's nothing like sitting around with your bro pacifist just eating some bananas and raw fish or fish sandwiches with some sand. Well, it doesn't matter, but unfortunately we're not doing that right now because we're alone. But of course that's only temporary, because eventually we're going to have more and more friends join us here. We just need to find a bunch of good old bros and lady bros who are, don't want to have any violence and all that great stuff and whatever. And I know what you're saying. Well, you can't just have nothing but pacifists, and I beg to differ. We definitely can do that, and that's exactly what we're going to try to do. And yeah, it's going to be a rough process, and it's probably going to take forever, but nothing's perfect except this island eventually, probably. Just remember, my friends, that all good things take time, and something like a perfect pacifist island is going to take quite a very long time to try and find all the perfect members, but we must weed out the aggressive, evil people to do such. And so we shall, of course. A special thanks to my patrons. As always, I could not do this without you guys. You make every single video on this channel possible, as well as the channel in general. I'd like to thank you all for watching. I apologize, I'm a bit low energy in this video. I'm recovering from what I believe may have been strep throat. That's also why I sound a bit strange in this video, but I love you guys ever so much. I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.